This is the Russian Stout Imperial. That was horrible, wasn't it? Hey, it's Brainmuffin back with another beer review, and here we have a beer from Stone. We have a 2009, so this is an aged beer, Imperial Russian Stout. Now, this is a beer that typically comes out in late spring, around tax season. Normally these are Russian Imperial Stouts, but I think Stone has rearranged the letters on purpose to spell IRS just because. So this is, I believe it's around 10%. This is 10.5%. This has been aging in my cellar for 8 years. I just put it in the refrigerator today for a few hours to get it cool enough for a beer review. Now I had at one time a bunch of these, and this is my last 2009. I did share a bottle of this with friends probably about a year or so ago, maybe a little bit more. It was very chocolatey. It was an incredible beer even after, at that point, 7 years. So now we have 8 years. This is the last bottle I've got. Who knows, I probably could have sold this bottle for quite a bit of money, but hey, such is life. I want to share it with you and to get a review of a 2009. So beers can be cellared just like wines. So let's find out what we've got, if it's any good or if it's crap. Oh, it is good. So we had to get a big glass because we've got a 22-ounce bottle. I don't think we're going to be able to get it all in here. I'm trying not to disturb the yeast on this one. Unlike the old Guardian, so it's lost some of its fizz, it looks like, but my goodness. Oh, the whole bottle is going to fit. Awesome. Excellent. There's a whole big spiel in the back. They've changed the art a few times. Some of my other ones look different. They got their gargoyle with an Imperial Russian hat. Oh, I can smell it from here. Oh my goodness. So there's alcohol and chocolate. It's almost like liquid chocolate. And I don't think they use any chocolate malts. I think it's just dark malts, blackcurrant coffee, roastiness, and alcohol. So notes of anise and licorice, black currants, coffee, roastiness, and alcohol. That's when it was new. So some of those flavors are going to be gone depending on how robust they were and what was creating them. But now you do have a bit roasted malt, and it's a very horrible pour on my part. It probably should have been fizzier. Oh my goodness. This beer, I've got to get back to buying 5 or 6 of these every year. These things are like $8 or $9 a bottle. Oh man. 8 years in the bottle, and it is excellent. Oh my goodness. Man, that is really good. So there's a little bit of lingering bitterness on the backside. You got a lot of roasted malt. There is hints of coffee flavors, chocolate. I don't get any anise. I'm really not sure what blackcurrant tastes like, but this is one that's definitely, usually you'd want to share this with friends. I mean, 10.5%, that's pretty high grav, but it definitely, you're going to have notes of coffee and chocolate on there. And the roast, so in a stout, the bitterness is supposed to come, excuse me, this is because I did a bad pour. That's my bad. I should have a bigger head on this. The bitterness should come from malt. It shouldn't come from hops at all, if you're going to stay with a stout. Now the Russian Imperial Stouts, there's a little bit of a story behind this. If I remember correctly, basically the Russians wanted a bigger, heavier stout, similar to like the IPAs for the British. The British started making a bigger stout so that when it traveled to St. Petersburg and Moscow, some of that had toned down, but it was definitely a heartier beer than the typical stout. A good stout is, a good dry stout in particular is probably about 5.5–6%. So you're talking twice as much in general of malt and alcohol content. It's a bigger flavor. It's a little heavier because of the alcohol. It's probably not, the malts, it's not really sweet, so all that sugar has been converted to alcohol, but it is going to raise the calories up. But the roastedness is very thick feeling, basically. Instead of kind of roasted and it's gone, it really, really lingers, and it really wants to stay around. You get it on the nose, you get it tip of mouth, mid-mouth, and as I'm talking, it's almost like I have been drinking coffee. And that kind of those gas flavor, those flavors you get out of the mouth as you breathe and stuff and talk. You kind of have that linger. Coffee drinkers will know what I'm talking about. I got Toby over here getting a drink of water. Thank you very much, Toby. Remind everybody I've got dogs. Oh, that is very good. But definitely, if you can get a hold of this beer new, please cellar it. Help your local retailer out. Get a couple bottles, wait a week. This stuff usually on the shelves around here for quite a while. And Jungle Jim's gets a lot of it. But sometimes if you dig on many shelves, especially if your retailer doesn't have these things anywhere near a window, dig around and see if there's an old bottle there. If you can get an old bottle for the same price as a new one, that is great. Some of these will sell as much as 2 or 3 times after a couple of years, depending on how much is available and what's out there for people that do sell beers. I don't have any clue what I could have gotten for this one, and maybe I'll just look it up and just cry over it. But to me, these are to be enjoyed with friends. This is definitely a beer you want to share. But you can also do is get several of them. So get 6, 7, 8. I mean, I've been cellaring this thing for 8 years. What would be excellent is if I had a beer, so something like this, especially with friends. And there's no, I mean, being an alcoholic to do this by yourself. But what you can do is do a flight. Do a flight of 7 or 8 years. You got one that's been cellaring for 8 years, one for 7, one for 6, all the way up to, hey, I just got this thing 6 months ago. Or when it's new, do it when it's brand new and compare. You can see how these are changing. Pretty much they follow the very same recipe. They aim for the same amount of alcohol each year. The difference with the barley wine, where they use the same recipe no matter what, they will tweak this one to get the same results every single year. So you can taste it new, taste it a year on, 2 years, and so forth. This would be excellent with a float, vanilla ice cream, chocolate raspberry, I mean, whatever. You could probably throw sherbet in here, but there's already some chocolatey flavors. There's some roasted nuts. There's not a milkiness to it because it's not a milk stout, but I think you can still do some floats with this. Food pairings are going to be tough with this because of the over-top flavorings, but you definitely can have this with some cheese and other things that kind of cleanse the palate. I wouldn't necessarily have this with a meal. This is like drinking a 10-year-old. I mean, what would you do with a 10-year-old bottle of scotch or a 10-year-old wine? You're going to have it with a meal, or you're going to have it as part of the ambiance after a meal, and you're chatting with friends. Maybe you're having little pickup foods and stuff like that. I'm going to give this a 4.75 on Untappd. I really, really like it. And I really need to get back to cellaring these and getting them when they're new and keeping them for years and put them on here every year. Maybe do a thing where I've got beers that I've cellared, and every year we see how they've changed. All right. Thank you for stopping by. Thanks for clicking like. Thanks for sharing my videos. Thanks for following me on Twitter and sharing and retweeting. That's great. It gets more impressions. It gets the word out there. And I'm trying to get some things with some other beer reviewers. I've been in contact with them, but we just haven't been able to figure out how to do it where we rate the same beer at the same time. It's, I don't know, some kind of collaboration. We'll see what happens. But, it's been tough to try and figure out the logistics of that, but we'll figure it out. All right. Thank you very much, and we will see you later. Bye. I have a feeling it won't because it's too old. It's in frickin' focus. Untappd, fix your frickin'. 2009. Out of production. All right, we running? Russian Imperial. No, IRS, Imperial Russian.